Hey guys, so I don't know if I'm in early labor or not. It is the 6th, 3:47 p.m. I just started timing my contractions just to, see, like they're not very painful or anything, but I'm gonna go fix myself my hair and do something with my hair so I can look semi-decent if this is labor. Definitely feeling some more tightening and cramping, so this could definitely be the start of early labor, and I'm hoping it is. I was at the midwifery center, the birth center, this morning, and they said I was 1 centimeter dilated, 50% effaced, and my cervix was nice and soft, so that's good. And thinning, keep you guys updated in a little bit. Hopefully these contractions progress. So it's 8 a.m. the next day, and all throughout the night I was having some contractions. They're definitely getting a little bit more intense. It's now 5:16. Hold on, I'm getting a contraction.
How you feeling?
Like I no longer want to talk through them anymore. I'll take my pod back. So basically I'll have contractions, like right now you see me timing them, but then they'll kind of taper off and kind of be less intense. So I went to my midwife this morning. I'm only 1.5 centimeters dilated. You might look at me and be like, oh, she's not in labor, she's still smiling. Yeah, I'm like totally fine when a contraction isn't here, but when a contraction is here, they're intense and they're intensifying. The midwife said I should be in active labor by tonight and have the baby by tonight or the morning, so I'm hoping for that. My contractions are getting more closer together, so that's a good sign. Maybe I'm dilated more than I know, but yeah, see you later.
Janae, how you feeling? Schmeagoo. How you feeling, Schmeagoo? Did they hurt you, Schmeagoo?
Mm-hmm. They do. You really do.
Aw, you poor thing.
I feel like I'm having another one. I just had one.
And you're what? You just had one. Now you have another one?
I know. I don't know.
Oh.
Oh, yep, that's another one. Unless it just never stopped and it's like a 3-minute contraction.
Oh, poor thing. I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to say? Baby Sage?
Girl, you better slide yourself out quickly. Because this hurts.
You didn't think it was going to hurt this much, right?
Well, hold on a second. I knew it was going to hurt really bad. I just didn't think it would be this bad so early on. But I just want to meet her already and hold her and kiss her. And of course, I want this pain to be gone.
Yes!
It's not exact science, but that's what helps us determine that the person is an active labor. So that's why we get that range. So I mean, to me, it sounds like you're doing really, really well. So, hopefully in the next, couple hours, we'll get down closer together to that point.
Okay.
In the meantime, if you can eat a little something, take, that's
called my midwife. She said not to come in yet. So I'm gonna try to take a bath. I don't know how comfortable that will be. Of course, right when I hang up, the contractions want to get closer together. My whole body is like shaking and has been. It's not fun. It's like if you're really freezing cold and you're like shivering.
Off to the hospital. Thanks, Dad. Birthing center / hospital. How you feeling, Mama?
Super tired. Ready for her to come out. Trying to eat a little bit since I haven't had anything other than a popsicle since yesterday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's now the following day at almost 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Contraction.
When we first got here, they checked her heart rate, they checked the baby's heart rate, they checked her blood pressure, they took blood, and then they also checked to see how far she was dilated. And then after that, she took a nice little bath, and we was in the bath for about like an hour. Yeah.
Probably.
Surprised he didn't turn into a grape.
Oh, another one.
Nope. Another one. Yep, so that's basically everything. 5 to 6 centimeters dilated at 9:30, 9:20. So now it's 11:56. We don't know where she's at now. They haven't checked yet.
That room is pretty.
Yeah.
Did she move to somewhere else?
Yeah. She's doing the.
She's doing what, moaning?
Yeah, I got a ghost.
She can stomach getting back on the ball for a couple. It really does help because it forces her head to push on that cervix and open it up faster. Scoot it up underneath her. You hear me, Janae? Once you get to the pushing part, that's the best part of the whole thing because you can push through a contraction so it doesn't hurt as bad.
Sit on that ball.
And then you can lean forward onto the
Come on, man. Gotta sit.
Oh.
You gotta do it. You won't be like this. It's gonna hurt either way, baby.
Yeah, honey,
Five times more.
this is gonna get the baby out faster. Just do it just like 2, and then take a break.
Get the baby out. Come on, you can do it. Come on.
I'm thinking it hurts more in my lower back.
So did you like this? Or do you like the squeeze, or you like a combo?
I think a combo.
Okay. Your biggest complaint is like lower back pain right now?
Now my front hurts more.
Think that hurts? Oh.
You can do this.
So let me know when you contract it.
Here, have a nice trip.
Bless you.
Thank you. You can climb right up onto the bed and try it. You can put your head down on the pillow and put your butt in the air, and your belly will just hang there like you did when you were pregnant. And it might pull some of that front pressure that you're having. It might relieve some of it. You want to try it next time?
Yeah.
Let's try it. If I was there, I would just hike you up and throw you on the bed, but I'm not, so you gotta help me out here, kiddo. She might need help, honey. Like, you can put me somewhere and you can help her kind of get off. She's so tired.
How you feeling?
Exhausted.
Hmm.
You see aromatherapy? Get your central liven you up a little bit.
I brought one.
Well, good time to break it out.
After you
Frankincense. Oh.
10 is the magic number.
Oh, she just spilled all that ice.
Oh, well.
Oh.
Get some new ones.
What are you doing
Don't
over here?
slip on it.
What are you doing? Spilling ice. What you got?
Hey, some women don't even make it till 4 without needing drugs. You're almost at 10. You got this. Remember what she said, that if you want to use the contraction to bear down, you're not going to hurt anything by doing that. Don't push, but, just bear down. Just almost like you're trying to take poop, but you can't. Just focus, breathe.
That's it. Good girl. What's up? Why you moving?
She's having a contraction.
I like her eyes are in like the back of her head.
She's tired. You alright, Janae? Just tired? Stop rolling your eyes in the head. You're scaring your husband. Sometimes right before you get to 10, or right before your body starts to want to push, you get a rest. Sometimes contractions can stop for up to 5, 10, sometimes even 15 minutes.
Babe. Come on, you can do it. Keep doing that thing. It's good.
good.
Okay guys, so things got pretty tricky and we had to get admitted to the general delivery. So right now they got her hooked up for IV. We're in the talks about doing an epidural. So just to give you a little bit of pretense, the previous clips she was dilated around like 9 1/4. And right now it's about 11:25 and she's still at the same dilation. So they was getting a little concerned, and since things wasn't progressing as we would like, they sent us up here so that we can make sure that baby and mama is nice and healthy and monitored. So that's just a quick update for you guys. I know she's bummed out. She wanted to do it downstairs. It was a totally nicer room, but at the end of the day, the health of her and the baby is more important. So that's why we're here. Film, babe.
Better, but totally wasn't expecting this, as most of you would probably know, since I'm like such a all-natural, holistic person. Long story short, the last thing I wanted to do was get an epidural and be hooked up to these monitors and stuff. She's moving, hold on. But here I am. This life doesn't always go to plan, and I have to make the decision that was best for me and my baby. Check in with you guys later. We're gonna have a baby on Mother's Day.
Right.
So cute.
A baby on Mother's Day. What a thought. Ah,
What a fun.
quite the present. Yeah, I'm not getting you any. That's that you got that.
Anyways, the good news is the nurse, my midwife from downstairs actually is up here with me delivering the baby, which is good, from the birthing center. She just told us, because we were talking about the possibility of having to have a C-section, since baby doesn't seem to be very comfortable in there anymore and tolerating in here very well anymore. So we were talking about a C-section possibility. But she checked me and I'm 10 centimeters dilated, 100% effaced, and whatever was up with my cervix was fixed. So that's all good now. So we're in the clear to have this baby vaginally. Prayerfully she will cooperate and we will have her vaginally. We're definitely going to try in a few minutes once they get back. They're just bringing everything up. So that's a big plus. So I'm happy about that. I just pray it all goes smoothly. I'm gonna do my best. And whatever happens in the end, I know is God's plan. And God will keep us protected, me and baby, so. Yep. But we're gonna have a baby soon.
Yep.
Finally. It's been a long journey.
It's been a long week.
It has been a long week.
It's been a long week, Sage. We're gonna have a bone to pick with you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we're just gonna get ready. Come on, Janae, you could do it. Gonna bear down and
God be with you.
yes, God be with us. So, alright, guys. I'll catch you later.
Hey everyone, Janae here. Welcome back to my baby Sage. And today I am finally, after 2 months, sharing my birth story. So let's just, I don't even know where to begin. It was a lot, let me tell you. It was a lot. And I'm just gonna kind of recap my labor and birth vlog. If you haven't seen that, make sure you go check that out above first and then come watch this. It'll make a lot more sense. But yeah, so you guys saw, if you saw the birth vlog, you saw what happened there. But what you didn't see was a lot of behind the scene things that happened. So the plan for my birth was to have an unmedicated natural birth at the birthing center. I was gonna labor at home mostly and then go into the birth center when I was about 6 centimeters and then labor for a few more hours, push the baby out. Yay, we go home within a day. That is not what happened. That is partially what happened. I did labor at home for days actually, as you saw in my birth vlog. I was in what they call prodromal labor and early labor for like days, which was very, very annoying. But I made it through. I made it to the birth center. You know, I got sent home and then I went back again. Long story short, I labored in the birth center for the entire day and night. I was in there, I think, for like 14 hours before they sent me up to the hospital. So the reason they sent me up to the hospital, I was doing good. I was, you know, laboring it out. I went in the tub. I went in the shower a few times. It was really nice, aside from the pain, obviously, but it was nice. I was making it through. At about a few hours after I was 9 centimeters dilated, I was 9 centimeters dilated very early on in the day, a few hours after I got to the birth center, which is normal. It's normal progression. I got admitted, I was 5 to 6 centimeters. A few hours later, I was 7 centimeters, and then a few hours later, I was 9¼ centimeters. And each time they checked me after that, they must have checked me like 5 times after that, it was still 9¼ centimeters dilated. So each time they checked me after the first initial time, we tried different things to get, you know, whatever was wrong down there going. I guess I had a cervical lip. So even though my cervix was soft, I think I was like 90% effaced or 100%. I honestly can't even remember. But I had to get to 10 centimeters dilated before I could push, and I was not there yet. I was only a little past 9. So each time we tried a different position. So we tried the peanut ball, as you saw in the birth video, but what you didn't see was the million other things that we tried. They tried, it was very, very uncomfortable doing these things as you're having a contraction, mind you. I went all the way to the edge of the bed as one of the nurses took one of my legs over. I was like almost falling off the bed, like on my side. And then one of my legs, I had to drop all the way down to the floor. And then the other one, the nurse was doing something with, I don't even know. But we did that a few times on each side. Oh my gosh, going through a contraction in that very uncomfortable position was not fun. But it was supposed to open up my hips and fix the cervical lip, whatever was going on in there. Needless to say, it did not. We tried a whole bunch of things. We tried a stool, like a birthing stool. We tried the ball. I tried going in the shower again to relax my body. And I felt pretty relaxed. Like, as you saw in the video, I wasn't like screaming. I never screamed once during my entire labor process. I was just kind of like really focusing on my breathing, concentrating, and just taking it one contraction at a time, or one surge at a time, as they say. Finally, it was like pitch black outside. I don't even know what time it was, but it was super dark outside, and I knew it was getting super late. So I'm like, I think it was at this point, I'm like, okay, what's like the next plan? Because this can't possibly be okay for the baby to be in here this long at 9¼ centimeters dilated, and me, like we're making no progress, and it's been half a day. I've been at 9 centimeters for half a day. So they're like, okay, let's try one more thing. Let's just try walking around a lot. So I don't know how long we walked the halls of that birthing center. It was a while. I was literally sleepwalking through the whole thing. Like, I had to hold on to my husband and he had to hold on to me, because I was literally, my eyes were, this is all I remember, my eyes were basically closed walking through the hallways. And then when a contraction came, I just like leaned up against him with my arms around his neck and I just went through the contraction, and those were like the longest contractions ever. I felt like they were like 2 minutes long, a good solid minute at least. But yeah, so we did that for like maybe, I want to say 45 minutes, an hour. I honestly don't remember. They checked me again after that. Guess what? I was not dilated any further. I was still at a 9. So I'm like, all right. Like, I was just like, okay, we need to do something else. Like, and I just said straight up, I'm like, do I need to get a C-section? Like, a C-section is literally, and was literally the last thing on my mind that I ever wanted to get. I wanted to do it naturally, especially since I want to have more kids. It's just, you know, recovery's easier. Everything's just easier. So I'm like, at this point, I'm just like worried about the health of my baby. And I said that to them. I'm like, hey, like, do I need to have a C-section? Like, what's the next step here? Because I'm clearly not progressing. So then that's when they said, yeah, we think C-section is possible, but we have a few other options before that happens. Thank God, right? Thank God. So we can bring you up to the hospital and they can give you an epidural. And I'm like, wait, I don't want an epidural. Like, what's the other options? And they're like, there's really no other option. Try the Pitocin with epidural, because your body, like, even though you're okay and you're like, I can still do this naturally, your body cannot. So that's why there's still that cervical lip, and that's why you're still not dilated to 10 centimeters, because your internal body is exhausted from laboring for days. So even though you're okay, your body is not, and it needs to relax. And the only way it's able to relax, even though you're mentally trying to relax it's not going to relax that way. The only way it's going to relax is with an epidural. So, and also Pitocin. I needed Pitocin to get my contractions closer together, because through the entire days leading up to my actual delivery, and even that whole day in the birthing center, they were very, very, very intense and painful, the contractions, but they were never consistent. They'd be maybe consistent for 45 minutes or an hour, and then there'd be like a gap of like 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. Like, there was never a consistent pattern between the space of time in my contractions, and that was also what they were saying a problem. So it was either I get the Pitocin and epidural or C-section. And they wanted to avoid the C-section, and so did I. So they're like, let's try this first. I know this wasn't your plan, but like you literally have done, and we're doing all that we can to help you progress, and your body's just not progressing. So that's what we did. I got the epidural around 12 a.m. on the day she was born, May 10th. And then I slept for about 3 hours, well, like an hour, and then the nurse kept coming in like, hey, do you want to try the peanut ball again to get your legs separated? I'm like, no, like, just leave me alone. That's painful too. Like, just let me sleep. Like, no. So she did that about twice, and then I just fell right back to sleep. So I was asleep for about from 12 to 3, and then they came in around 3:20 to 3:30, and they checked me, and they're like, yay, good news. You're 10 centimeters dilated, 100% effaced, and you're ready to start pushing. And I'm like, thank the Lord Jesus. Thank the Lord Jesus. Also, I was having continuous fetal monitoring at this point. And that thing was very uncomfortable on my stomach, mind you. I think it was at this point where they said, all right, there's some, like, baby's not comfortable in there anymore. We can tell, like, her heart by her heart rate. I forget exactly what they said, because I was literally, this was like all a days, and I literally had 3 hours of sleep for like the past 3 days. So they're like, we got to get this baby out. We're going to do our best. You're going to do your best to try to push her out vaginally, but there's still a possibility of having a C-section if we can't do this quick enough. So I'm like, all right, let's get started. So we go. Oh, no, I'm not sure if they said that when I was pushing. I think they said that when I was, no, I don't even remember. As you guys clearly, like, it's all a blur. I'm doing my best to remember. But yeah, long story short, 2 hours later, I was pushing for like 2 hours with a mask on, because the stupid policy, because of this whole pandemic we're in. I'm like, okay, if you guys all have like 3 masks on your face, why do I have to have a mask on? Like, I can't breathe. You're already pushing in labor. Like, it's so hard. So whatever. I made it through. 2 hours later, I kept sniffing a peppermint because I kept getting nauseous. And I did throw up like 8 times in the birthing center. No, more than that. But that's why I had to have the IV fluids, because I was super dehydrated. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I talking too much? Am I talking too long? You're like, okay, mommy, that's enough. Give me some attention. Give me some attention. Okay, you're tired, aren't you? I'm sorry. Cutting into your nap time. Want a bobo? Okay, you can go to sleep if you want. Yeah. You can go to sleep. Yeah. I love you. I love you, beautiful. Yeah, I'm talking about how I had you. Okay, so yeah. Long story short, I pushed for 2 hours. She came out and it did not stop there. The cord was around her neck. It was like on a diagonal, like partly on her neck and like down around here. So I guess as I was pushing her out of the canal, it just kept getting tighter and tighter and tighter, because she was fine the whole entire time up until like the end. Her heart rate dropped, I guess. That's why they said we need to get her out. So as she was pushing, the cord was getting tighter around her neck. And when she came out, I looked down and I saw the cord around her neck. And the lady, the midwife, she couldn't get it over her head because it was so tight. She had to cut it, like with scissors or whatever. So she cut it, and there was like meconium and her poop all over the place. And she put her directly on me because I wanted to do skin to skin right after, and I didn't know what in the world was going on. I was just like, oh, my baby. Put her on me, and then they immediately took her, like literally 5 seconds later, because she wasn't breathing. And they put her on the table, and they tried to get her to breathe. She wasn't crying, she wasn't breathing. Her eyes were open, looking at me the entire time, which reassured me and I guess kept the peace in me. But my husband, I looked over at him and like he had to go, I just saw him back up and like sit on the couch. Like I saw he was very, very scared. And I'm just like, what's going on right now? Like, baby, I know you're gonna breathe, but like, come on, breathe, hurry up. You're scaring mommy and daddy. She wasn't breathing, wasn't breathing. They had to call up peds specialists or something. They had to bag her with oxygen, and try to get her to breathe. I think it was 4 minutes or 5 minutes after she came out, she breathed. So it took a lot of people. There was like 1 million nurses in the room, and yeah, she almost died. She was rated a 1 on the APGAR score right when she was born, which is a scale of 1 to 10 if you don't know what it is. 10 meaning they're full of life, they're healthy, yay. Most newborns don't get that, but they get pretty close to it. And then a 0 is your baby's dead. And she was rated a 1. So you almost died, but God kept you because God has a huge plan for your life. Yes, he does. And I strongly believe that. So yeah, she was near death. She had inhaled, I think she inhaled, she didn't just swallow, she inhaled her poop. So that was all in her lungs, and then the cord and everything. She had to get a lot of help, and then she cried, and then she came back on my chest for just like not even 30 seconds because the nurse is like, hey, you want me to snap a quick picture real quick before she has to go down to the NICU? I'm like, yeah, of course. So put her on me. My husband came, she snapped a pic, and then she went straight down to the NICU. My husband went with them, and meanwhile I was spewing blood everywhere. Like, I didn't even know what was going on really, because I was just like, you know, everything was so overwhelming, and I'm like, what just happened? And like, wow, my baby's not with me. What in the world? Like, is she gonna be okay? And when can I see her? And then I look and there's blood all over the floor, all over the midwife, all over the nurse. I guess I was like bleeding a lot. I hemorrhaged clearly. And that was one of my biggest fears going into labor. But then finally they got that under control after a little while. And then
I tore a little bit, like not even a 1st-degree tear, but it wasn't in the normal area. It was like up higher. So yeah, they just had to stitch that up. But before this happened, they delivered the placenta, like right when they were reviving Sage. I saw some nurse just holding my placenta in a bag and bringing it somewhere. So I don't know, like they took that out really quick, I guess because I was bleeding so much. They needed to control the bleeding and whatever. Because I know normally it's like, okay, push the placenta. No, it was just like, I just saw the placenta out and I didn't even know what happened. And then after they got me all cleaned up, I was sitting in that room for like maybe 30 minutes before they could transfer me to my actual room. And then they brought me to our room. My husband was still down there with her. And then when he came up, then I got to go down and see her. This video is probably super, super long, but that is a whole story. Long story short, no, I'm just gonna tell you guys, like in a nutshell, because there was so much that happened. Yeah, there was so much that happened, Mama. I know. She was rated a 9 on the APGAR test 5 minutes after she was born. So she almost died at a 1, and then 5 minutes later she was thriving at a 9. But they wanted to monitor her in the NICU to make sure she was okay, obviously, because she inhaled the meconium. So they put her on antibiotics to, you know, make sure she didn't get an infection from that. And then they wanted to monitor those results. Let's just say I should have gotten her out of there that night when she was supposed to. They told me, oh yeah, she should be able to come up to your room 12 hours later. So if she was born at 5:40, she should be able to come back up to your room around 6 p.m. and be with you and for the rest of your stay. That didn't happen. They kept her in there. Long story short, after many very nice arguments with people in the hospital to get my child with me, 3 days later we left with her, and we actually had to sign her out against medical advice. But it was the best thing we ever did. Even our pediatrician when we were in the hospital was like, yeah, there's no reason they're keeping her. Honestly, it's probably just because you're insurance or whatever, I don't know. But it was very, very bad. They wouldn't let me breastfeed her the amount of times that she needed to eat, which I could totally sue them for. But yeah, like they let me see her once a day because the other parents needed to see their kids. I get it, because COVID and all this stuff. So I spoke to someone and I'm like, okay, I understand that, but you can't tell me I can't feed my baby. Like, she's not on life-threatening row. All you're doing is literally monitoring her in there. The same thing she's doing down there, you could be doing when she's in my room up here. And the only reason they weren't was basically convenience. So I guess I was still like in a cloud of like, I know God gave me a gigantic piece of peace because my whole family was like flipping out, like, go get that baby. She's totally fine. And like, we have nurse friends and people who work in hospitals, and all of them were saying there's no reason they're keeping your child. I think that next morning, I'm like, I'm taking my baby. If you're not gonna let her like come up here in the room, like I'm trying to be civil with you. I wanna work with you. If you still want to monitor her for some reason, let her monitor in my room. So one, I could feed her every time she needs to be fed because that's a right I have as her mother. And two, there's actually no reason you're keeping her, no solid evidence. Like, you keep telling me she's fine, you're just monitoring her because of her temperature was literally 0.4 away. Like, they wanted it to be 98 or 97.7 and it was 97.3, and then 1 hour it was 97.7, and I'm like, being close and doing skin to skin helps regulate my baby's temperature. And everyone was saying that, and everyone, like the family I have and the friends that have worked with kids and worked in hospitals for years are like, that's normal. Even my pediatrician was like, being a few points off is normal for a newborn. Like, they can't keep her just for that. So I told them this, after I got out of my little bubble of calmness, I'm like, okay. When I went to see her the day that we took her home in the morning, I said, all right, who can I talk to? Give me your superior, your manager, whatever. She came out and I'm like, hey, I'm taking my baby home today. And she's like, well, no, you can't, because I'm like, actually I can. And you can try to call social services if you want, but they're not, like, you have no valid reason to do so. And I was very, very nice. But at the same time, I had to advocate for my child. I'm like, whatever needs to happen, like, I'm taking her home. And they wanted to discharge me that day too and send me home without her. And she was literally fine. I'm like, this is not okay. I'm not leaving without her. And if I need to sign a leaving against medical advice paper, I will. But like, get this show on the road. We're going home. It took hours, but finally, after talking to a million people coming up to my room and calling me on my phone and trying to like convince me, the doctor recommend, I'm like, I know, just give me my child. Like, you think I'm playing? I will go down there and take her. And I really am trying to be civil about this. That was all in a nutshell of the things that happened. We took her home around 5, we left the hospital, 5 p.m. The next day at the pediatrician appointment, he's like, thank God you got her out of there. Like, she's totally healthy, she's thriving, her temperature's totally normal, and she's doing really well. The next week we went, she's doing really well. Even to this day, we just had her pediatrician appointment, what was it, 2 days ago? And she's still doing really well. Never spiked a fever, never like everything. She's all healthy and good. So that was the NICU story in a nutshell. That was probably all over the place, and I'm sorry, but it was a lot that happened, and I'm trying to just say the important things. Oh, and meanwhile, while this was going on, I was dealing with my own, like, trying not to die. Because after I hemorrhaged and got to the room, I passed a bunch of blood clots. Now, it's normal to pass some blood clots after giving birth, but the size and the amount that I was passing, and I was still bleeding a lot, was actually enough to make them get an ultrasound tech and give me an ultrasound of my stomach to make sure everything was okay in there. Clearly it wasn't, because they gave me an ultrasound and then I'm like, hey, I have to pee. So I went to pee with one of the nurses, and literally a blood clot, I'm sorry this is graphic, but this is really what happens sometimes. A blood clot the size of a baby bird came out of me. Not even a baby bird, like an actual bird. It came out of me, and I'm not even kidding. Like, it was huge, and I'm like, I think that's the thing they saw on the monitor, because they're like, yeah, there looks like a gigantic blood clot in there. We're gonna have to go and get it out with our hands, like manually. It'll be a bit uncomfortable, it may hurt a little, but it has to come out. But thank God I peed it out, and it just was like on the floor, and I'm like, that's a legit animal right there. And the nurse was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah, you're telling me I'm the one whose body it's coming out of. How do you think I feel? So I go back, they give me another ultrasound. So then the midwife went and looked. She's like, oh my gosh, that was it. All right. So they had to give me a shot in my leg to stop the bleeding and the something with the blood clots. So they had to give me a shot in my leg, which causes like a huge cramp in my stomach, they said. So then they had to give me Motrin for the pain of the cramping. The next day I was off the IV, and my throat was like super dry. Like, you know when your throat is so dry that when you're trying to drink water, it hurts? Yeah, that was what was happening with me. But when we left, I was all good, baby was all good, and here we are today. That was like a recap of my labor and delivery, and then delivery, and then post-delivery, and then how my baby almost died, how I almost died, and then how the hospital wanted to keep my baby for no reason, and then how they didn't let me breastfeed her, and then how we had to leave against medical advice. Yeah, so that's that in a nutshell. It was a lot, it was crazy. But one thing I will say is
I know all of you, like a lot of you guys have been showing me so much love on my birth, labor and delivery vlog, and I appreciate all of you so much, more than you even know. I know I didn't do the entire labor and delivery unmedicated, but I'm still proud that I did it as far as I could and as much as I could. Literally, like, I had to get it, unless, like, there's basically no other option. I had to get it. Like, if there's anybody out there that was in a similar situation to me, or if something similar happens to you, I mean, God forbid, but you know, it does happen. Just know that, like, if you do everything in your power that you can and you trust God, then ultimately I believe it was his plan for it to happen that way. My whole pregnancy did everything in my power to have a natural delivery, and I did everything during my labor. I tried the different positionings, you know, I stayed healthy, I ate healthy, I took, you know, good supplements, and even during my labor I tried the different positions that are supposed to help, you know, fix the problems. So when you've exhausted all that you could do in your physical power, all that's left to do is trust God, relax, and just know that ultimately you did everything you could. And I know I did everything I could. So for me to have to get that epidural and Pitocin the last 5 hours before she was born, it was, I don't know what's the right word to say. It was the best thing that I could have done, because I knew I did everything I could before that, and I didn't want to risk her health or my health, you know, going any longer, just trying to see if anything would change. So just know that if you went through the same thing, you're awesome. And yeah, and that's what I did. I trusted God, and everything turned out okay, more than okay. Everything turned out amazing. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a safe, blessed day, and we'll see you soon. Bye.